Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 72.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our first big moment involves General Zhu Huang, one of Cao Cao's commanders. Now, he gets some pretty stern advice from his subordinate Wang Ping, right? But he ignores it. Crosses the Han River, sets up camp. What were the immediate risks there? And how did Liu Bei's side, Huangzong and Zhao Yun, see an opening?
Well, crossing a river like that, especially when someone's telling you not to, it just screams vulnerability. You expose your flank, your supply lines. It's a huge risk. But what's brilliant here is Huangzong and Zhao Yun, they didn't just react. They observed Xu Huang. He was trying to wear them down, right? Challenging from morning till like mid-afternoon.
Yeah, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., the text says. That's a long time to be yelling challenges.
Exactly. But they noticed something subtle. His archers started getting more active. That signaled he was probably planning a retreat. It wasn't just courage, it was sharp perception.
Ah, okay. So they anticipated his move based on that small detail.
Precisely. And they used that exact moment, his predictable move, to launch this devastating pincer attack. Huangzong from the left, Zhao Yun from the right. Zhu Huang's forces just collapsed. Many were driven straight into the Han River. It really shows how patient observation, exploiting patterns, that can be incredibly powerful.
And the fallout from that route is immediate, isn't it? It leads to this really surprising and significant turn. Zhu Huang, furious, blames Wang Ping.
Who reasonably points out he told him not to cross in the first place.
Right. But that same night, Wang Ping makes a huge decision. He torches Zhu Huang's camp, defects to Zhao Yan, and then gets brought to Liu Bei. What's the critical value here beyond just gaining another general? Seems big.
Oh, it's massive. If you connect this to the bigger picture, Wang King defecting wasn't just, getting another officer. It was a strategic goldmine. He brought invaluable first-hand geographical intel about the whole Han River area.
Wow, like getting a map and an expert guide dropped right into your lap.
Exactly. Liu Bei was apparently ecstatic. He declared that Wang Ping's arrival made taking Hanzong, well, basically certain. He immediately made him partial general and a guide. It just highlights that sometimes, human intelligence, the right defection, that can be worth more than thousands of soldiers. It can totally shift the balance.
Okay, here's where it gets, for me, really interesting. Cao's reaction to losing Wang Ping.
Pure rage.
Pure rage. He personally leads this massive army to retake the Han River camp. Zhao Yun, facing, overwhelming odds, makes a smart tactical retreat to the west side of the river. Creates a standoff.
Yeah.
And that's when Liu Bei and the mastermind, Zhuge Liang, arrive on the scene. So how does Zhuge Liang plan to deal with this bigger, stronger army without just throwing troops at them?
Well, this is classic Zhuge Liang, isn't it? Pure psychological warfare. He looks around, assesses the terrain, and he spots this small, kind of unassuming hill upstream on the Han River. Perfect, he thinks, for hiding maybe 1,000 men or so. This little hill becomes the key to his whole deception. His goal isn't fighting, it's disorienting Cao Cao's army. I mean, the big question when you're outnumbered is always, how do you break their will to fight before the actual battle starts?
Right. Get in their heads.
Exactly. Zhuge Liang knew a confused, sleepless army. Well, it's already halfway beaten.
And his instructions for Zhao Yan, for those hidden troops, they were super specific, weren't they? The 500 men, the drums, the horns. What was the exact plan?
Incredibly precise. Zhao Yun takes 500 men, all loaded up with drums and horns, and hides them under that hill. Their job. Listen for a cannon blast from Zhuge Liang's main camp. One blast.
You won.
One blast. And when they hear it, they unleash everything. Beat the drums, blow the horns, make a massive racket. And this is crucial, they are not to actually fight. No engagement. Just noise. Pure auditory chaos aimed at Cao Cao's camp.
Wow. So how did that play out? What was the effect on Cao Cao's soldiers over those nights? Must have been awful.
Devastatingly effective. It was psychological attrition, pure and simple. During the day, silence from the Shu camp, eerie quiet. Then, late each night, Zhuge Liang waits until Cao Cao's camp is finally settling down, fires the cannon.
Chaos erupts.
Absolute chaos. Zhao Yun's hidden troops explode with drums and horns echoing like crazy. Cao Cao's soldiers jump up, terrified, thinking it's a night raid. But there's no enemy. They search, find nothing. They barely settle down, maybe start to drift off.
Boom. Another cannon.
Exactly. Another blast, another wave of deafening noise. And this happens for 3 straight nights.
3 nights. Oh, man.
Imagine the stress, the sleeplessness, morale just plummets. It's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, but with drums and horns. Even a tough army cracks under that.
So after 3 nights of that torture, Cao Cao finally gives in. He retreats 30 less, about 10 miles, just then signs more quieter. Zhu Liang's comment then, Cao Cao, though skilled in military strategy, does not understand trickery, really hits home.
It does. It really highlights the power of these kinds of psychological tactics over just brute force.
But, playing devil's advocate, wouldn't a smart commander like Cao Cao eventually figure out it's just noise? Or was the cumulative effect just too much?
That's a great point. And yeah, Cao Cao was incredibly shrewd. But his own nature, his inherent suspicion, actually worked against him here. He was always looking for the trap, which made him really susceptible to tactics designed to create doubt.
So Zhu Liang played on his suspicion.
Exactly. It wasn't about one trick being believable forever. It was the cumulative effect, the sleeplessness, the uncertainty, the constant threat of the unknown. It just wears you down. And then Zhu Liang doubles down. He advises Liu Bei to cross the Han River and set up this incredibly risky-looking back-to-the-water camp.
Which is traditionally seen as suicide in military terms, right? No retreat path.
Right. It's designed to scream trap to someone like Cao Cao. He'd be thinking, why on earth would they do that unless they have something else up their sleeve? Making his suspicions run wild.
So this back-to-the-water camp, it looks vulnerable, but it's really just bait for Cao Cao's suspicious mind. He sends a challenge for battle. Zhu Liang accepts immediately for the next day. So they line up at Wuji Mountain. What's the pre-battle banter like between Cao Cao and Liu Bei? Any good trash talk?
Oh, yeah. The verbal barbs were flying.
Yeah.
Cao Cao opens up, trying to demoralize Liu Bei's troops, calling him ungrateful and disloyal. Standard stuff for Cao Cao. But Liu Bei fires right back, calls Cao Cao a rebel, someone who's usurped the emperor's authority. It wasn't just insults. It was reminding everyone what was at stake, framing the fight.
And then the fighting starts. But it's part of the plan, right? Zhu Huang challenges, Lu Feng meets him, but then they retreat.
Yep, all choreographed. Liu Bei quickly pulls his forces back into formation. Lu Feng pretends to be defeated and flees too.
Making it look like an easy route for Cao Cao.
Exactly. And Cao Cao, seeing this, orders his troops forward, go capture Liu Bei. He even promises the governorship of Western Sichuan, a massive prize to whoever gets him.
That's a huge incentive. How did they make the retreat look so real that it fooled Cao Cao, at least initially?
By playing on greed and overconfidence. As Cao Cao's troops surged forward, breaking formation, what do they see?
What?
The road ahead is just littered with abandoned horses, weapons, gear. Looks like a total panicked retreat.
The spoils of war. Too tempting to resist.
Precisely. The promise of the governorship plus all this visible loot, it's a powerful psychological lure. Make the retreat look so easy, so profitable that the enemy throws caution to the wind.
But Cao Cao, yeah, he survived this long for a reason. He must have sensed something was wrong. Did his famous intuition kick in?
It absolutely did. That's the critical moment. As his soldiers are scrambling for the loot, abandoning all discipline, Cao Cao gets that feeling. Something's not right. He notices two things. That weird back-to-the-water camp, which already made him uneasy, and just the sheer amount of abandoned gear. It seemed excessive, too convenient.
So he smells a rat.
He smells a rat. Orders his trumpeter, sound the retreat now. Threatens to execute anyone stopping for spoils.
But was it too late?
It's just a fraction too late. Even the sharpest intuition can be outplayed by perfect timing and understanding human nature. As his soldiers hesitated, turning back.
The trap springs. Zhu Liang gives the signal.
And bam! Liu Bei's main force hits the center. Huang Zong slams in from the left, Zhao Yun from the right. Total chaos for Cao Cao's army.
A complete rout. They were caught completely off guard, turning back right into an attack.
Utterly routed, stampeding over each other, and Zhu Liang doesn't let up, pursuing them relentlessly through the night.
The pressure on Cao Cao now must be immense. He orders a retreat to Nanjing, only to find it already taken.
Yep. 5 fires burning. Wei Yan and Zhang Fei, having secured Langshang earlier, had already swooped in and captured Nanchang. Cao Cao's fallback position is gone.
Wow. So he's startled, has to flee again, this time toward Yangping Pass. Liu Bei, meanwhile, just consolidates his hold on Nanjing. Okay, so the enemy is on the run, demoralized. How do you finish them off? How do you corner them effectively?
This is where Zhu Liang shifts focus to logistics. Liu Bei actually asks him, how did we beat him so fast? And Zhu Liang explains that Cao Cao, despite his skill, his suspicion makes him vulnerable to these doubt-inducing tactics we've seen. But now it's about tightening the noose.
By cutting off supplies.
Exactly. He sends Zhang Fei and Wei Yan specifically to cut Cao Cao's grain supply routes. Vital. At the same time, Huang Zong and Zhao Yun are tasked with setting fires along the mountain paths, preventing Cao Cao's troops from even foraging for wood or basic resources.
Starve them out. Fight without fighting.
Precisely. Cut off the head, the body withers. It underlines just how critical logistics are in any campaign.
And this focus on supplies leads directly to a moment of, well, individual failure, doesn't it? Involving Zhu Chu.
It really does. A stark reminder of the human element. Cao Cao's scouts report the blocked tabs, the fires, Zhang Fei raiding supplies. Yu Chu, a famously brave general, volunteers. I'll protect the grain. Takes 1,000 elite soldiers.
Sounds good on paper. What went wrong?
He got drunk, heavily drunk, ignored warnings about the dangerous mountain roads near a place called Baozu, insisted on moving the grain convoy at night while intoxicated.
Oh, no. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
And it was. Zhang Fei, who else, ambushes him. Zhu Chu, because he's drunk, is just no match. Gets wounded by a spear, falls off his horse.
And Zhang Fei gets all the grain.
Every last bit. It wasn't just losing supplies, it was another huge blow to morale. Shows how one person's recklessness, especially fueled by drink and overconfidence, can have massive strategic consequences. A hard lesson in leadership.
Cao must be desperate now. He personally treats Yu Chu's wound, then incredibly leads his battered army out again to confront Liu Bei. Liu Bei sends Liu Feng, his adopted son. How do Liu Bei's forces play this encounter? Another trick.
Another clever stratagem, yeah. Playing on Cao Cao's personality again, and maybe Liu Feng's temper. Cao Cao starts with insults, naturally, calls Liu Bei a shoemaker's son, mocks him for using a fake son, Liu Feng, while bragging about his own yellow-bearded son, Cao Zhang.
Trying to get under their skin. Does it work?
On Liu Feng, yes. He's enraged, charges straight at Cao Cao. Xu Huang intercepts, but then...
Liu Feng feigns defeat again.
Yep. Pulls back, retreats, perfectly baiting Cao Cao into pursuing him. They knew exactly which buttons to push. Insult and apparent weakness, irresistible bait for Cao Cao.
And as Cao Cao gives chase, another ambush. Seriously.
You guessed it. Cannons explode, drums thunder again from all sides of the Shu camps this time.
What's the impact on Cao Cao's troops now? They must be completely spooked.
Absolute panic, sheer terror. Fearing yet another, bigger ambush, Cao Cao screams retreat. But it's not orderly. It's a devastating stampede. His own troops trampling each other in blind fear. Huge casualties just from the panic.
Unbelievable. Cao Cao barely escapes back to Yangping Pass.
Barely. Battered, his army utterly demoralized, the psychological pressure has just broken them, and Liu Bei's forces don't let up. They pursue right to the gates of Yangping Pass, set fires at the east and south gates, make a deafening racket at the west and north gates.
Constant pressure, constant fear.
Exactly. Cao Cao, terrified, finally abandons the pass altogether and just flees. His great army is shattered.
He tries to escape, but finds himself totally boxed in.
Completely surrounded. Zhang Fei blocks the road ahead. Zhao Yun attacks from behind. Huang Zong charges in from Baozu. It looks like the end for Cao Cao. A massive defeat.
He barely escapes. His generals forming a protective ring around him.
Yeah.
Fighting desperately. It seems hopeless.
Yeah.
But then something happens.
A moment straight out of, well, the romance. Just as Cao Cao, broken and fleeing, reaches a place called Shigu Pass, an army appears.
Friendly. Enemy.
Friendly. It's his second son, Cao Zhang, the yellow-bearded son he'd just been boasting about. Renowned warrior, incredible rider, archer, strong enough to fight wild animals barehanded.
Wow, talk about timely arrivals.
Incredibly timely. Cao Cao is overjoyed, sees his son, and just bursts out, "My yellow-bearded son has arrived. He will certainly defeat Liu Bei."
It's this sudden injection of hope right when things look darkest. And Cao Zhang has that reputation, doesn't he? I recall Cao Cao telling him not just to rely on fighting, but to study strategy too. He wanted to be like those famous Han generals, Wei Qing and Hu Kuim.
That's right. And Cao Cao had given him that stern advice before, right? At home, father and son, in service, lord and subject, law shows no favor, strict but respected.
So, inspired by his son showing up, Cao Cao rallies his remaining forces, finds some fight left in him.
Immediately, he rallies his troops and heads back to Shidu Pass, suddenly reinvigorated. This arrival completely changes the dynamic, presenting a fresh, serious challenge for Liu Bei.
So Liu Bei gets word of this formidable Cao Zhang arriving.
Yeah.
How do his commanders react? Are they intimidated?
Not intimidated, but they recognize the threat. Liu Feng, the one Cao Zhang just defeated, and Meng Da both immediately volunteer to take him on, eager. Liu Bei, seeing their spirit, sends them both out, each with 5,000 soldiers, ready to meet this new challenge head-on.
And that first clash really shows Cao Zhang's strength, doesn't it? Liu Feng goes first.
Yeah. Liu Feng engages him, probably wanting to prove himself after the earlier insults and retreat. But Cao Zhang is just too much. Defeats him in only 3 bouts. Liu Feng has to pull back again.
So Meng Da steps up next.
Meng Da advances, ready to fight. But just as he's about to engage Cao Zong, chaos erupts again. But this time, it's not from Zhuge Liang.
Oh, what happens?
Suddenly, Ma Chao and Wulan's forces arrive on the scene. The text says they've been holding back, accumulating energy, and now they just burst forth, showing their might, basically unstoppable.
Wow, another unexpected intervention. So Meng Da sees this.
And jumps right in. Capitalizes on the confusion in Cao Cao's ranks, joins Ma Chao in a pincer attack. The battlefield is suddenly thrown into renewed turmoil.
And amidst all this chaos, there's a personal cost, isn't there?
There is. Cao's Dang, in the thick of it, personally confronts Wulan. It's a brief, brutal fight. In just a few passes, Cao Zhang strikes Wulan down with his halberd, kills him right there.
A stark reminder of the individual lethality amidst the larger battle.
Absolutely. It shows that even with all the strategy, individual prowess still matters hugely. But despite his son killing Wulan, Cao Cao sees the renewed chaos from Ma Chao's arrival. He wisely decides to consolidate, gathers his forces, including his son, and sets up camp back at Shegu Pass. He's still under immense pressure, struggling to regain control against Liu Bei's relentless campaign.
Cao Cao, they're kind of stuck in a place called Xiagu.
Right, he's facing off against Ma Chao, a really tough opponent. It's a stalemate.
Yeah, and he's totally bogged down. He wants to push forward, but it's too difficult. The terrain, the enemy. But retreating? Oh, no. For a guy like Cao Cao, that's unthinkable.
Huge loss of face. He'd be mocked. His own troops might lose faith.
Exactly. So he's stuck in this awful indecision. Pride versus practicality. Just agonizing over it internally.
It's a classic leadership trap, isn't it? The pressure is immense. He has to look strong, but inside, he's wrestling with this massive strategic problem. Every option feels risky.
Totally. And right then, in the middle of all this internal turmoil, someone brings him a bowl of chicken soup.
Okay. Random detail. Or not so random.
Not so random. He looks down, sees the chicken ribs in the soup, and boom, inspiration strikes. Or, well, something strikes. He just declares the night's password as chicken ribs.
Chicken ribs, right. To anyone else, that's just bizarre, meaningless.
Pretty much. Like, what on earth does that mean? Why chicken ribs?
But this is where Yang Zhu comes in. His genius, or maybe, like you said, his fatal flaw. He hears chicken ribs, and he doesn't just hear noise, he gets it. Instantly.
Gets what, though? What's the connection?
He tells his own soldiers, right, pack your bags, we're leaving. Just like that. Preparation for a full retreat.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. How did he get retreat from chicken ribs? That seems like a massive leap.
It's based on an old saying Yang Xiu knew. Roughly, eating it gives you no meat, but throwing it away, well, it still has some flavor.
Ah, okay. I think I see. So the position at Hansong is the chicken ribs. There's no real gain, no meat in staying and fighting.
Exactly. But just abandoning it feels like a waste, a shame, because it still has some, flavor, some strategic or symbolic value you hate to just toss aside.
So staying is pointless, retreating feels bad, but is logical. Wow. Yang Shu basically read Cao Cao's mind.
He saw right through the cryptic password to Cao Cao's unspoken dilemma. The internal debate Cao Cao hadn't dared to actually voice out loud.
And this doesn't stay secret, right? What happens next?
Well, Xiahou Dun, who's a top general, he sees Yang Shu's men packing up and is understandably alarmed. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, are we retreating? Did I miss the memo?
Right, so he goes straight to Yang Shu. Yang Shu explains his reasoning, the whole chicken ribs analogy. And Xiahou Dun, hearing the logic, is convinced.
He buys it, just like that.
He does. He thinks, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So he starts getting his troops ready to leave too, and soon word spreads. The whole camp starts preparing for a retreat.
That's incredible. But it really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we get these ambiguous signals, maybe from a boss or someone important, and getting the interpretation right is key?
But what happens when your correct interpretation basically exposes the hidden thoughts, the vulnerabilities of the person in charge? You've not just solved the riddle, you've kind of announced their private struggles to everyone.
Yeah, it's like reading their diary out loud.
Yeah.
That can't end well, especially with someone like Cao Cao.
Precisely. For a leader who prides himself on control, on being, inscrutable, having his inner thoughts laid bare like that, even if the interpretation is spot on, it feels like a challenge. An invasion.
It undermines his whole image, his authority. It's not about being right anymore. It's about being seen through.
And this wasn't just a one-off incident, was it? This chicken ribs thing was really just the final straw.
Oh, definitely not. Yang Shi's execution, which we'll get to, was really the end result of a whole pattern, a series of moments where his smarts, They were impressive, but they just kept poking Cao Cao in the eye, metaphorically speaking.
Right. This pattern is absolutely crucial. Yang Xiu just kept chipping away, maybe without even realizing the full impact, at Cao Cao's sense of control, his privacy, his authority.
That's like a masterclass in how not to manage your relationship with a powerful, suspicious boss.
Even if you are brilliant. Maybe especially if you are brilliant.
Okay, let's look at some of these earlier incidents. There's the one with the garden gate. Cao Cao has this new garden built, right? He goes to inspect it, doesn't say a word, good, bad, nothing.
Just walks up to the gate, takes a brush, and writes a single character on it. The character, ooh, which means live or alive, then leaves.
And everyone's just standing there scratching their heads. Live? What's that supposed to mean?
But of course, Yang Zhu gets it immediately. He explains, look, put the character live inside the character for gate, and what do you get?
Oh, okay. Visually, a character inside a gate. Wait, it forms ku, which means wide or spacious.
Bingo. Yang Zhu says the prime minister thinks the gate is too wide. And he was right. Cao Cao wanted it rebuilt narrower.
Wow. Okay, clever. But Cao Cao's reaction?
Outwardly, yeah, impressed. But the text specifically says he was deeply wary, even jealous of him. He felt intellectually shown up, exposed.
Wary and jealous, even though Yang Xiu helped solve the problem. That tells you a lot about Cao Cao right there.
It really does. Then there's the pastry incident. Even simpler, almost petty, but revealing.
Right, the one box of pastry. What happened there?
Cao Cao gets this box of tasty pastries, a gift from somewhere far away. He writes on the lid, ooh, he heshu, which literally means one box of pastry. Puts it on his desk.
Okay. Seems straightforward enough.
Yang Xiu comes in, sees the box, reads the characters, and then he just opens it up, grabs a spoon, and starts sharing the pastry with everyone else in the room.
What? Seriously, why would he do that?
Well, Cao Cao asks him the same thing. And Yang Xiu, quick as ever, points to the characters and says, essentially, the box clearly says one person, one mouthful of pastry.
Tiren Yusu. How could I dare disobey the Prime Minister's command? He'd playfully split the characters to mean something else entirely.
Oh my God, that is audacious. Splitting one box pastry into one person, one mouthful pastry.
Clever, right. But Cao Cao, the text says he pretended to be amused, laughed it off, but in his heart he hated him for it. Because it wasn't just clever, it was kind of mocking him, publicly twisting his words, undermining his authority over his own stuff.
Exactly. It's that constant one-upmanship. But the most chilling one, for me anyway, is the dream killing story.
Oh yeah, this one is dark. Tell us about it.
So Cao Cao starts telling everyone, hey, be careful. I sometimes kill people in my dreams. Don't come near me when I'm sleeping.
Which is a weird thing to say. Already a red flag, maybe.
You could say that. So one day, he's napping, his blanket slips off. A loyal attendant, probably just trying to be helpful and kind, quietly goes over and covers him back up.
Oh dear. Bad move.
Fatal move. Cao Cao instantly leaps up, grabs his sword, kills the attendant on the spot, then just lies back down and goes back to sleep.
Jesus. That's brutal.
Then later, he wakes up, acts all shocked and horrified. Oh no, what happened? I must have killed him in my sleep.
Yeah.
Orders this big, fancy funeral for the poor guy. Everyone buys it.
Except
Yang Zhu. He sees right through the whole charade. He understands it was a cold, calculated act, a warning.
a warning against getting too close or seeing him vulnerable.
Probably both. And at the attendant's funeral, Yang Zhu makes this incredibly pointed remark, basically saying out loud, the prime minister wasn't dreaming. You, meaning the dead attendant, were the one living in a dream.
Wow. Calling him out like that, even indirectly.
And the text is crystal clear. Cao Cao, he hated him even more after that. Yang Zhu hadn't just figured out the secret, he'd exposed Cao Cao's cruelty, his manipulation, the darkness behind the mask.
It feels like with each incident, Yang Xiu is peeling back a layer of Cao Cao's carefully constructed image, and Cao Cao can't stand it.
Exactly. It highlights that for someone like Cao Cao, perceived loyalty and deference are way more important than inconvenient truths. Yang Xiu's truth-telling wasn't seen as helpful, it was seen as a challenge, almost like psychological warfare.
How do you think this constant, mental undressing affected Cao Cao, beyond just getting annoyed?
I think it created this deep sense of vulnerability, maybe even paranoia. Every time Yang Xiu showed him up, dissected his hidden meanings, it chipped away at Cao Cao's mystique, his aura of control. For a leader who relied on that image of unpredictable genius, it wasn't just irritating, it felt like a fundamental threat. He felt exposed, maybe even manipulated by Yang Shu's intellect.
Which is just intolerable for a man with an ego like Cao Cao's.
Absolutely. And that sets the stage perfectly for the final act, where Yang Shu gets involved in something even more dangerous, the succession struggle.
Right, the battle between Cao Cao's sons to be named his heir. This was high-stakes politics, a real viper's nest.
And Yang Shu jumps right in. See, he was very close to Cao Cao's third son, Caoji. Caoji was talented, a poet, a scholar, and Yang Shu really admired him. They'd talk for hours, late into the night.
And Cao Cao was actually considering Cao Shi as his successor at this point, right? So Yang Shu's influence was potentially huge.
Immense. Which, of course, didn't sit well with the older son, Cao Pai, who was also fiercely ambitious.
So Cao Pi tries to get his own secret advice. He brings in an advisor, Wu Ji, smuggled inside a big basket, pretending it's full of silk, so no one knows he's there.
Classic cloak and dagger stuff, but who figures it out?
Let me guess. Yang Ji.
You got it. Yang Shi somehow finds out about the secret basket advisor and immediately reports it straight to Cao Cao.
Trying to expose Cao Pai's scheming. But it backfires, doesn't it?
It does, spectacularly. Wu Ji, the advisor in the basket, is clever. He tells Cao Pi, do it again tomorrow, same basket, but this time fill it with actual silk.
Double bluff.
Exactly. So the next day, the basket arrives. Cao Cao, tipped off by Yang Shu, orders it searched. They open it up, and it's just silk.
Oh no, so now Cao Cao thinks.
Now Cao Cao suspects Yang Shu is lying, trying to frame Cao Pai, deliberately sowing discord. The source says he suspected Yang Shu of slandering Cao Pai and hated him even more for it. Wu Ji completely turned the tables.
Wow, that's brilliant political maneuvering by Wu Ji. Poor Yang Yu walked right into that trap.
He did. Then there's the incident at the Yi City Gate. Another test Cao Cao sets up.
Hold that up.
Cao Cao secretly tells both sons, Cao Pai and Cao Ji, to leave the city through the main gate. But he also secretly tells the gate guards not to let them pass.
Okay, another loyalty or initiative test, maybe.
Seems like it. So Cao Pai gets to the gate, the guards block him, and he just turns around and goes back. Obeys the guards' orders.
Okay. Sensible, perhaps cautious. What about Cao Ji?
Cao Ji had consulted Yang Shu first.
Yeah.
And Yang Shu gave him some truly audacious advice. He basically said, look, you're acting on your father's orders to leave. If anyone stops you, even a guard, you have the authority to execute them on the spot.
Whoa. Seriously, kill the guard.
That's the advice. So Cao Ji gets to the gate, the guard blocks him, and Cao Ji draws his sword and kills the gatekeeper. Claims he's following the king's command.
That's extreme. How did Cao Cao react to that?
Initially, Cao Cao was impressed. He thought, wow, decisiveness, ruthlessness. Maybe he does have what it takes.
Okay, so maybe Yang Shi's advice worked that time.
Only at first. Later, Cao Cao finds out that it was Yang Zhu's idea, that Cao Zi didn't come up with this himself. And then he becomes seriously displeased with Cao Zi too.
So Yang Zhu's meddling ended up damaging Cao Ji's standing as well. He made him look like a puppet, not a leader.
Exactly. Yang Zhu now seems like this dangerous manipulator, playing games with both sons, undermining the whole process.
And then comes the final, maybe the most blatant interference. The answer scripts.
Yeah, this one is almost unbelievable. Yang Zhu literally writes out prepared answers for Cao Ji. Like cheat sheets. More than 10 sets of answers, covering all sorts of military and state affair questions Cao Cao might ask.
So Cao Ji could just parrot Yang Shi's words and sound brilliant.
That was the plan. And for a while, maybe it worked. Cao Ji gave these incredibly fluent, insightful answers.
But Cao Cao wasn't stupid. He must have gotten suspicious.
He did. He started thinking, wait a minute. How is he always so perfect? His answers are almost too good, too quick.
It lacked authenticity.
Right. And eventually, Cao Pai's faction manages to get their hands on these written scripts and expose the whole scheme to Cao Cao.
And Cao Cao's reaction?
Utter fury. Furious, saying, how dare this scoundrel deceive me?
Yeah, that's crossed the line from cleverness into outright deception and manipulation of the heir selection process.
Absolutely. In Cao Cao's eyes, this was the ultimate betrayal. It wasn't just reading his mind anymore. It was actively trying to control the future of his regime, making a fool of him by feeding his son lines. Game over for Yang Shu.
It really makes you think about talent in these power struggles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How it can be this incredible asset, but also this huge liability.
It's a classic double-edged sword. And the ethics of it. I mean, Cao Ji using Yang Shu's brains, Yang Shu providing them, it backfired on both of them hugely.
Yeah, Cao Ji's prospects dimmed. And Yang Shu, well, his fate was pretty much sealed.
With all that resentment built up, all those perceived insults and manipulations, Cao Cao just needed a pretext, and he found it.
He circles back to the chicken ribs incident, right?
Yep. He officially charges Yan Shu with the crime of confusing the army and disturbing military morale, uses that initial brilliant deduction as the final justification.
And orders his execution. How old was Yang Xiu?
Tragically young, only 34.
Such a waste of talent. And there's a poem about him in the source, isn't there?
Yes, a very poignant one. It basically praises his brilliance, clever young Dezu, dragons and snakes danced from his pen, his words astonished all, but then it concludes, Yan Jishu. His death was due to his talent being misunderstood, or perhaps his death was a mistake caused by his talent. It explicitly says his execution wasn't really about the order to retreat.
His death was due to his talent. Wow, that says it all, doesn't it? It wasn't the advice itself, it was the way his brilliance constantly exposed and maybe threatened Cao Cao. He had the insight, but not the political savvy, the discretion.
Exactly. He lacked that crucial understanding of the psychology of power, his leader's specific insecurities. He was too smart for his own good and way too bold in showing it off.
And the irony just keeps piling up, even after Yang Xiu's death. What does Cao Cao do immediately after?
Well, first he puts on a show. He pretends to be furious at Xiahou Dun for also getting ready to retreat based on Yang Xiu's interpretation. Makes a big scene, almost executes him too before letting him off.
Classic Cao Cao. Asserting dominance, making sure everyone knows he's in charge.
Right. And then to really drive the point home to show that Yang Xiu was wrong, he orders an immediate attack, a defiant advance.
Rejecting the very advice that got Yang Xiu killed. How does that turn out?
Disastrously. Just as Yang Xiu implicitly predicted, the position was untenable. Cao Cao marches forward and gets ambushed. Wei Yan shoots him in the face, knocks out 2 teeth. Then Ma Chao attacks his camp. It's a total mess.
Ouch. So he's wounded. His army's in disarray.
He's forced to retreat, utterly defeated.
And it's only then.
It's only then, wounded and humbled, that Cao Cao finally thinks back to Yang Xiu. Remembers the chicken ribs, remembers the warning. And in a moment of perhaps regret or grim acknowledgement, he orders Yang Xiu's body to be found and given a proper respectful burial.
Wow. Too little, too late for Yang Xiu, obviously.
Completely. And then, after burying the man he killed for suggesting retreat, Cao Cao finally issues the order for a full retreat. Ban Shi! Exactly what Yang Xiu had foreseen.
The ultimate irony. He kills a messenger, suffers the consequences of ignoring the message, and then ends up doing exactly what the messenger advised.
It's such a powerful lesson about pride, power, ego, the cost of silencing truth, even uncomfortable truth, how leaders can punish the very people who offer the best insight, only to realize their mistake when it's far too late.
It really speaks to the human psyche, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
need to be right, to be in control, even when the evidence points the other way. A lesson that feels just as relevant now as it was back then.
Absolutely. You see echoes of this in all sorts of situations, personal and professional. The cost of suppressing inconvenient wisdom can be incredibly high.